BoxBox Hub is an absolute essential for any Formula One fan, and the entire app with new widgets, statistics, localized race schedules, and countdowns, you name it. They even have support for Apple's new live activities feature with real-time updates during a race right on the lock screen, and honestly, some of the best looking widgets I've seen.
Welcome along, everybody. We are back for more silver action. It is season 7. It is round 2. If you have missed the opening stages or the opening race, go back and watch it. It was a cracker actually in Silverstone last week to open off Silver Season 7. Welcome along to everybody in the comment section. Welcome to the stream. We are ready to get going here in Spielberg, Austria for the second round of Season 7 then. And we have got everybody in the grid and everybody ready to get going, I think, which is nice. And it looks nice and sunny here in Spielberg, which is absolutely fantastic. If you watched the gold race last night, wasn't so much the case. So there we go then. But I won't comment on my appalling racing. Hopefully the AlphaTauris can dig us out of a hole then, as Mumford and TK then I will be supporting, of course, is in the joint constructors then. But we have got 3 reserves here in place tonight. Plotters or plot extras. I'm going to call them plotters, I think. Or platters, I don't know which one it is, but whichever one, plotters or platters, there is in the Williams here tonight in place of Irish New Potato. He is partnered up, of course, with Dopey Lemons. Then got R2 Beat, then a familiar face in the 100% League, which of course is coming back on Wednesday night. He is in the McLaren then in place of Dylan. I think Dylan's having some power issues then over in Ireland then with the storm that is raging around us here at this current climate, but hopefully that will be rectified for next week. And then we have got one more. It's Fandro then in place of Charlie King, who unfortunately is attending a funeral then of a passing of a friend. So hopefully he is okay, and all of our best wishes go to Charlie King. And of course he did have a difficult start to the season then with that issue with the connection, then trying to get himself into the race, or back into the race I should say, then in Silverstone last week, which caused him to disconnect and DNF. But hopefully he will be back in round 3, which of course is Spain in a week's time. But we'll have to come back to Spain because we've got Austria to tackle first then. And here is a Ferrari then of Craig R, the fantastic qualifying in Silverstone for the opening round then for Craig R. Let's see if he can pull off the same thing here in Spielberg. And welcome along to the comment section. We've got Gordo then with his famous hola. What's up from Rocket Lizo? Silver time from Moomin as well. Good luck to Gordo. All sorts of encouragement then in it seems to be all sorts of different languages as well, so I'm not going to try and pronounce all of that. So thank you very much. And then we've got Gordo saying, yes, thank you is something else. So there we go. I'm not quite sure how to translate, but yeah, if anyone wants to translate, they can feel free to jump into the comment section with a bit of Google help as well. But I have not got Google to hand, unfortunately. I've got some racing to commentate on, and I'll be looking at the action on the track then, not in Google Translate. Then here comes Craig R then up the hill towards turn 3. He will be the first driver, I think, to set a lap time around here, so providing it is valid, and hopefully he can keep it within track limits there this time as well. Now down the hill towards turn 4, heavy braking zone here, one of the heaviest braking zones on the circuit, then around to sector 2. And now this is the most complex part of the circuit, really, as hopefully that Aston Martin and Ferrari get out, Aston Martin and Red Bull get out of the way. Have Craig R, who is powering through now into sector 3, going purple, of course, into the final sector of the circuit. A very short lap, this one. We are expecting times of around 1 minute and 4 in the qualifying stages, that is. Of course, the lap times in the race will potentially be a bit slower, but not too much. But here we go then. Craig R then up the line to set the first time on the board, and a 5-0 then from Craig R. Good stuff indeed, setting his sights. Then I think Jenner is coming back to the pit lane, and he's decided to abandon his lap time on the medium compound tyres. Here comes Plotters or Platters up to sector 3 as well. I'm going to call him Plotters, but now in towards the penultimate turn. Then let's see what he can do then in the Williams car tonight, then looking to get his reserve debut underway. And what's it going to be then from a Williams driver? It's a 4.690. That is almost 4 tenths faster than Craig R's time. We have got Mumford then splitting the two then with a 4.8 as well in the AlphaTauri. Good stuff indeed. Here comes Mr. Elite then over the brow of the hill, then down towards the final turn. Then a very nice Austrian flag themed final couple of corners, which is very nice to see. Fandro sets the precedent though. It's a 1 minute 4.3 then from Fandro. Mr. Elite there into P3 with a 1 minute 4.7. I keep saying 4 minute. I'm not quite sure. I don't think we've ever had, not in the recent era or current era of Formula One, a lap time in the 4 minutes. But there we go then. Kamara Racer in the Alfa Romeo, of course, missed the first round of the season on holiday. He is back now, and of course at his home Grand Prix he is currently on pole position as well. Then a 4.2 from the Alfa Romeo driver, looking to get his season underway here in Austria, of course, and at his home race. That is looking promising indeed as well. Ultimate Beast with his first race of the season as well, after missing the first round, then up into P4. Then he's just been displaced now by Potstuff, who is up into the 1 minute 4.3s as well. Then the 1 minute 4.3 seemed to be a common occurrence then in the qualifying. In the opening stages, we might be able to see, can they get themselves into the 3 second or 1 minute 3 second time range. We saw some fantastic times in gold yesterday, so there is Bessie then starting himself up into P8 then as well in the other Alfa Romeo. Good stuff from him. Yeah, we saw some fantastic times in gold yesterday. Both the Haas drivers in gold looking formidable in their quali pace. Unfortunately, it is where in the race is where you get the points there. And I think only German managed to get himself 1 point for the fastest lap. Then he didn't give up. He kept on plugging away then, and got himself at least a point then after a difficult race for both the Haas cars in gold. But we saw in gold, in silver last week, Farf and Nigel taking a 1-2 then for the Haas team. Will that history repeat itself, or can somebody like Kamara, can Fanjo, can Potstuff, can Ultimate Beast then take a fight then to the two Haas drivers then, who took the took the 1-2, took the victory, took the biggest points apart from the fastest lap then in Silverstone in the opening round, and the first 1-2 of the ALR season. And the only 1-2 of the ALR season so far. Of course, we've only had one round in all the divisions. This is the second round. The second round for gold yesterday, and the second round for silver tonight. Then bronze, of course, will be up tomorrow, and then we've got the 100% league, which is going to be taking on Spain in the on the Wednesday night as well. So stay tuned for that. There is more action underway. Then TK up into P5, then looking good as well for the Alpha Tauri team. 1 minute 4 second and 4 hundredths of a second time so far. Good stuff. Here comes Ginner then back out on track now, and I think he's put a set of soft compound tyres onto that Aston Martin instead of the medium compound, so you can tell that by the nice little red walled tyres there. You can see the red markings, and now up the hill then towards the famous turn 3, a very heavy braking zone. Then 16-0 then in sector 1. Then that is purple so far. I think that might be purple to Got R2B, who's done a 5.1 in the McLaren for his first outing here in silver as well. His first reserve appearance then in the one of the normal ALR divisions, that is, and not the 100% league, that is as well, but or the F2 league, which of course he competed in last season also. But let's see what can Ginner do now into sector 2 then to finish off sector 2 through turn 5, and now down towards turn 6 then. It's purple once again then in sector 2, and that is looking pretty fast indeed then in the Aston Martin for Ginner. He is under control then. Of course, he raced in the 100% league last round, with the first round for the season on Wednesday last week, which of course was here in Austria as well. Bit of practice under his belt potentially then around the final corner, looking very close to track limits here, but up to the line it's a 1 minute 4.2, but it's not close enough to Kamara to take that pole position away. But onto the front row for Ginner, looking good there. The Aston Martins there, Fanjo in P3 as well, just outside, just coming out behind his teammate now as well. Looking pretty good then for the Aston Martin outfit. Here comes Gorda then round the last couple of corners, then up towards the penultimate turn, and let's see what the Mercedes driver can do here as well. Gorda then had a pretty impressive display then. I think he got a bit unlucky then in the first race of the season. Let's see what he can do here in Austria. A much shorter lap, so there's a lot more to gain, there's a lot to lose as well, but unfortunately for Gorda then he's lost a bit of time there and not done a 5.3 then. Unfortunately for Gorda then he might be struggling at this stage, just getting himself a eye in then on this lap, as of course there's still time for the drivers to set themselves another lap or two even in this session. Then here comes Irvine. Of course, Irvine missed the first race of the season as well. I'm not quite sure why, but he's unfortunately invalidated going through into sector 3 there, so that will be an abortion of the lap then, and he will have to come around. He's going to go back around again, I think, so he's going to be trying it once again. Nevertheless, but there we go then. Unfortunately for Irvine, not having much success on the first attempt. Then here comes Favre. Of course, P2 in the first race of the season. Then we don't want him to do too well because, just personally, but he's, like I said, we want everyone to do well apart from Faf. But he is doing a good job then in the Haas after that fantastic first round. And of course, he got the driver of the day in the first round after coming from, I think it was P17 all the way up to P2 then in the British Grand Prix for the opening start of season 7 for silver. Unfortunately, not so much luck then in the qualifying for Favre there. through into sector 3, then he's unfortunately validated his lap time, which means he will have to go back to the pit lane and start again. Irvine starting again as well. I think he's recharging the battery here on this lap to go again on another attempt. Then let's have a look and see what Kamara Racer, the hometown hero, is going to be doing here. Into sector 2 we go. Can he improve there on a 4.2? I think that's a pretty impressive time there for Kamara there, but I think he can still improve on that as well. He's almost a tenth, well, over a tenth up on his previous time. That would put him in the realms of a 4.1. Can he get himself into the 3.9s or even the 3.8s? I think it could be close here as we go round the hill, down the hill to the final turn. Fanjo sets a 3.9, then that's incredible stuff indeed. But here comes Kamara Racer. It's a 4.0. He stays, well, he doesn't stay. He drops down to P2 then with Fanjo's time. Then Fanjo with a 3.984 then is the first driver here in silver then to get himself into the 3s then in the qualifying. A fantastic lap indeed, a very quick lap indeed. Kamara not far off, to be fair to him. He has done a good job then as well. Glocks then into P7. We haven't covered Glocks too much so far in this qualifying, but here he comes now into sector 3, looking quite quick indeed. And we did see a flash of purple there on the track map as well, so that is promising stuff indeed for the Ferrari driver now down the hill towards the penultimate turn. Let's see what he can do. Can he improve then on a 4.5 up to the line? I think it's going to be an improvement. It's going to be a big improvement as well. It's a 3.9 from Glocks. He's gone pole position here in Austria. A fantastic lap time indeed then from the Ferrari driver, and that is very good stuff. Very quick stuff indeed as well to beat Fanjo to that pole position as it stands. That is no mean feat at all. And now two drivers, the front row of the grid then into the 3.9s then here in Austria as well, looking formidable indeed. Then both the Irish folk are not too shabby here in Austria as well. Nigel there, his first attempt he's done a 4.2. Then he is currently just about 2.5 tenths off the pace then of the front row of the pole position here of the grid, but not too shabby then for the championship leader, of course, who took the win in Silverstone last week. Then Gina back out on track there, P5 as it stands. Potstuff coming through. Let's see what Potstuff can do. He is currently just under a tenth of a second, improving on his lap time. That will put him potentially ahead of Nigel, but I don't think it's going to be close enough to Sweet NJP, who's put himself up into P4. Then onto the second row of the grid. Then here comes Potstuff then up to the line. It is P4, and he improved. Wow, look at that, a thousandth of a second then splits Potstuff and Sweet MJP. That's very close indeed then between the two drivers. I think they're friends outside of the track as well, which is very good stuff indeed. Good competition between the two of them as well, and put himself into the realms of potentially getting some good results. A good result here as well. Here comes Ultimate Beast. Then can he improve into the 3s as well? It's going to be close indeed. Here comes Ultimate Beast up to P6. Then he has improved by 0.2 of a second. Then ahead now of the championship leader then of Nigel. Beast are up into P6 there onto the third row of the grid. Good stuff indeed from Beast on his first outing here in silver this season. Let's have a look and see who else is going to be out on track next. There's a McLaren further around, but I think that's coming back to the pit lane. Same for the Haas of who's the Haas of Farf, I think it is, or back out on an outlap there for Farf. So there we go then. Good stuff indeed. Here comes Vessia. Vessia, I think, coming back to the box. Then he's decided to come back in there, abandoning his lap time. Dopey Lemons, I think, is just cruising around as well, it looks like. Let's have a look and see what Mumford's coming back to the pit lane as well, it looks like. So they're all coming back to the pit lane, I think, to recharge and to start their preparation then for the final laps here in Austria as well. There's only 5 minutes left on the clock then. Of course, it's a very quick lap around here, so you can really benefit then through this one very quickly indeed. And like I said, there's Craig R. Oh dear, what's happened to Craig R? He's retired in the pit lane, and Craig R then, he was in the top echelons then of the grid in the British Grand Prix last week. But unfortunately, Craig R is not going to be any higher than P18 at this stage of the Austrian Grand Prix qualifying after he has retired then in the pit lane. Not quite sure if there's a technical fault there for Craig R. Hopefully it's all sorted for the race. Here comes Farf then in P20 as it stands. Then let's see what he can do. Can he get himself a qualifying position, which he's very shy about qualifying, isn't he? Farf, we saw last season, didn't want to take part as that's a very odd pit entry, and he called it a day then on that lap as well. So that is that then for Farf. Kamara Racer then currently in P3 on the second row of the grid. Then he is looking to get himself that pole position. He is not far off. He is about a tenth of a second away. If he can find that around this very short lap indeed, then he will be able to get himself up the order then. I just said he improved by almost 0.2 of a second there, but I think that was a lie. Yeah, it was invalidation there as well on turn 1. That is not what you want to do, and unfortunately that has cost him his lap then on this occasion. Then Reflection is has got through turn 1 unscathed of the track limits, that is, and now heading up the hill towards turn 3 once again. Let's see what he can do. Almost a tenth and a half up in one sector. That's pretty good stuff indeed, especially sector 1, which is well, pretty much just one turn, isn't it, really? I'm not quite sure what the comments and thoughts about the sectors around here are. It seems like they might be able to extend sector 1 a little bit more and then maybe shorten another sector, though, but losing the back end there through turn 4 on the power then for the Alpine, and that could be costly indeed. That could cost him at least a tenth or two, and that might be might impact where he's going to be starting this Grand Prix. He's now lost he's lost a tenth of a second because of that instant there, and hopefully he can claw it back then in sector 3. Let's see what you can do then over the brow of the hill once again then for the Alpine. They're down the hill towards the final turn, then around the last corner, very wide as well, and unfortunately Reflection there exceeding the track limits a bit too much there in some cases, and I think the stewards there have had a dim view of his track limits interpretations there. Unfortunately for Reflection, he'll have to go around again. He might just about have enough time. I'm not quite sure. It's going to be very close indeed. Of course, you've got only a 1 minute 5 sort of outlap to do around here, so if you've got 2 minutes in hand, you might be able to get yourself back in the pit lane and back out again quickly enough, but we'll have to wait and see who can do what then in this qualifying. Here comes R2 Beat then in the McLaren here tonight, and down the hill towards the final turn for his first attempt of silver. Of course, this is his first race then in the silver division, and up into P13 there with a 4.5 then for the McLaren driver. Good stuff indeed, and very good in the into P13 then for the McLaren team, and not looking too shabby at all. Reflection there is back out, but he's invalid again then, so hopefully he can get himself back round. I don't know if he's going to have enough time. It's going to be very tight indeed if he can get himself back out of the garage in time to go for one more flying lap then, because of course they've got to wheel you away and sort your battery out and sort your tyres out and everything like that. So I think that might be Reflection done and dusted in qualifying here, unfortunately for the Alpine driver, that is. Fangio then is back out on track, but again I think he's cruising. He's gone into neutral there as the Aston Martin driver, so I'm not quite sure that's going to be very beneficial then to his engine or to his pace. Reflection there does retire in the pit lane, so he is done and dusted here in qualifying. Very busy out on track now with a lot of outlaps here in silver, and Spielberg is getting very busy on track. It looks like here, as you can see, all the cars queuing up pretty much behind Fangio then going down towards turn 4. Let's see if they can sort themselves out then for their qualifying attempts then. Mumford is back out on track then, and looking to improve on a P9 position as it stands. Then he is unfortunately lost a bit of time then through turn 1 and 2, and now up the hill towards turn 3. Can he get in that time back then through into the second sector, I should say, and now into the final stages of qualifying here as well. Then down the hill towards turn 4. 1 minute left here in Spielberg for the qualifying for silver season 7 round 2, and we've got a bit of a fight on the cards, I think, for pole position. We'll have to come back to that. We're waiting for Mumford to complete his time then. Always a bit of spin, I think, there. Almost he lost control of the car, I think, on that curb on the inside, which can catch you out. Then you have to be careful of that curb, as I found out yesterday. But there we go then. Mumford there, it looks like abandoning his time once again then. So unfortunately with Mumford, he's not going to be starting any higher than P9 here in this Grand Prix as we start off another lap then with his teammate TK. We'll find out who's going to be next across the line. I think it might be, no, it's not Fangio. Where's his teammate? It's Ginner then. Ginner just starting a lap now as well. There's an Alpine, I think, of Potstuff coming out to the line. What's it going to be from Potstuff? He is not improved enough there to improve on P4, but he stays P4 for the time being. Mumford there retiring in the pit lane there, so he is done and dusted as well. We've just seen Sweet MJP jump up the order, then up into the 3s as well. A 3.9 for Sweet MJP, puts himself on the front row of the grid, and he's got off straight away. Where's he off to? And he is retired then, is going straight on there, and I think that looked like a brake failure, and I'm not quite sure if that is a brake failure, if he's going to be able to take the start of this Grand Prix. But Fangio then into the, he's improved to 3.922 to take pole position here in Austria, and it looks like that could be his pole position. Can Glocks do anything about it? He is the only challenger at the moment, apart from Potstuff then, to try and fight for this pole position here as we go down the hill. Both the Irish drivers then in the Ferrari and the Aston Martin respectively are fighting tooth and nail for this pole position. Here comes the Ferrari driver up to the line. It's a 3.834, and that is pole position then for Glocks then here in Austria. Fantastic qualifying indeed, a fantastic lap time indeed then from the Ferrari, and he's got that pole position wrapped up here in Austria then for round 2, and looking good indeed then, both in the both the Irish drivers, like I keep saying, in the Ferrari and the Aston Martin respectively, on the front row of the grid then, with fantastic lap times indeed. Fangio did improve then to get himself up the order and did take pole position momentarily, but Glocks then finishes off the qualifying here in Austria with a pole position, and another one for Ferrari then. Fantastic indeed then from Glocks, and Ferrari then will be very pleased with that one. I thought, unfortunately for Craig R, he is a bit too far down the order where he would want to be, but hopefully he can bounce back in the Grand Prix, which will be coming up in just a few seconds time. But fantastic qualifying. That was pretty epic there. 3 drivers then into the 3.9s, or into the 3.8s in Glocks' case, which is absolutely fantastic to see, and well done to all the drivers then, putting in a show then for qualifying. We've got a race to come as well. 36 laps around here coming up in just a jiffy. Blimey. There is your order then. Glocks then pole position then on the front row, is Fangio in P2. Sweet MJP there almost got himself into the fight then for pole position as well then, with a 3.9 as well in P3. Kamara then, the hometown hero, in P4 on the second row of the grid. Beast with a fantastic qualifying as well then on his first outing here in Silver Season 7 in P5. Pot Stuff in P6. Nigel, the championship leader, down in P7. Jinner in P8. Good qualifying from him. Irvine as well on his first appearance in Silver Season 7 in P9. Mr. Elite P10, Mumford in P11, TK P12, Plotters down in P13, Dopey Lemons in P14, Vessier in P15, R2 Beat P16, and Reflection P17, Craig R P18, Gordo in P19. Unfortunately for Farf, he didn't get a time on the board, which is typical from Farf, really, isn't it? No comments. No comment about that. Right then, we'll just quickly have a brief word from our sponsor, and we will get ourselves ready.
BoxBox Hub is an absolute essential for any Formula One fan, and the entire app with new widgets, statistics, localized race schedules, and countdowns, you name it. They even have support for Apple's new live activities feature with real-time updates during a race right on the lock screen, and honestly, some of the best looking widgets I've seen.
Right then, we're ready to get going here in Spielberg. Then it is Grand Prix time, and we will turn that one off. We don't want that. But we're ready to get going here, and we'll have a look at the tyre compounds for everybody as well, as it looks like the nice sunshine from the qualifying has disappeared a little bit. And there seems to be a bit of gloom over the circuit as it stands there, but potentially that could turn into some raindrops here. We might see some rain in the latter part of the race. At the moment it's all dry, and we have got a choice of hard compound tyres and mediums then for all the runners and riders here in Silver Season 7 round 2. And both the front row drivers there, Glocks and Fangio, have opted for the hards. Everybody from P3 down to P6 on the medium compound tyres. Nigel, Jinner, Irvine have all gone for the hards as well. So for same for Mumford, same for Plotters. Then we've got Vessier, Beat, Reflection, Craig R and Farf then all on the hard compound tyres. Everybody else, actually, it's not a very even split then. There's only There's only 8 drivers on the medium compound tyre, so there's not an even split just yet of the tyre compound, but nobody opting for the oh dear, something's happened there between Reflection and R2 Beat then. Nobody opting for the soft compound, so it would suggest that potentially we might see some weather coming in at the end or towards the end of the Grand Prix, maybe towards the middle of the Grand Prix. It does look a bit overcast at the moment, so that might indicate some rain starting to fall in the second half of the Grand Prix here. But firstly, we've got to get the formation lap underway and done and dusted, that is, and we'll switch over to the position changes to see how the race opens up then in the first lap, as Glocks then coming round the final corner to line up on the grid then for the start of the Austrian Grand Prix.
track temperatures over previous years show this race to be a hot one. 2019's race recorded temperatures nearly 50 degrees Celsius.
Right then, we are ready to get going here in Spielberg. Then I will need to switch the camera angle to see what the lights are up to. 5 red lights are on here in Austria, and the 5 red lights are off here in Austria, and away we go. And away we go then here in Spielberg then for the second race of the season here in Silver Season 7. A great start there from 300p, looking to put the pressure on the front runners already there into turn 1, but Glocks is steaming ahead. Look at that. He's flying out there in the Ferrari then. Fangio under pressure now from 300p, then up the hill towards turn 3. In the background we can see more action as well, but here comes 300p round the outside. Can he make the move then on the Aston Martin? Not quite. He has to sit in behind Ultimate Beast and Nigel battling away then up into P6 there for Nigel, getting past Pot Stuff off the start. There's front wing damage then for the Alpine, as we can see the right end plate missing there on that car. The pink front wing is missing there on that car, unfortunately for him, as Kamara Racer and Beast now battling away then into sector 2 as well, then side by side through here in towards turn 5. This is going to be tense indeed then between the two of them as the hometown hero, and there's collision there ahead as Fangio and Sweet NDP have come together then in turn 5, and that is the McLaren out of the, well, not out of the race, but they're out of the contention then after that contact there, spun him out of the race as well. That is bad news indeed for the McLaren. Hopefully he can get himself back to the pit lane to recover that car. And unfortunately we didn't see exactly what happened there. We just saw the tail end of it. There's Glocks, of course, setting the precedent, is flying out there as well. Yellow flags in the background, yellow flags for Craigar. Craigar is off the circuit, virtual safety car. Craigar is, I think he was trying to get into the pits there, but he's lost the front wing as well. TK also in the pit lane as well. This is not a good start from Silver then. It's been a bit chaotic for these 3 drivers, and I think there's as I'm not quite sure what is going on there between the McLaren and the Ferrari, but there we go. VSC has been deployed then, which of course is at least a bit beneficial then to those who've had to pit as well for front wing damage then for the likes of TK, Sweet Repeat and Craigar. We didn't see Pot Stuff make a pit stop, but you can definitely see that front right end plate is missing there on the Alpine car, which is I think where he's a bit upset about there. Hopefully he can get that sorted then in the next few corners or few stages of this Grand Prix. But yeah, unfortunately there for 4 drivers then, all with sustaining damage then in the first lap then of this Grand Prix as well, and which is very bad news indeed. And unfortunately for 300p then, I'm not quite sure he's battling there for P2, wasn't he, alongside with Fangio. VSC is still out then at this stage, which has at least negated some of the time lost then for the pit stop drivers, or pit stop boys I should call them really, but I'm not quite sure they're going to be in a very sing-song mood at this stage of the Grand Prix. Hopefully they can bounce back then. You never know what can happen, of course. We've only got 2 laps completed then of 36, so there's still plenty of laps to go as well. VSC still out. It's been a long VSC this one, so we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen next, as it has gone back in now, which is good news. But 1.5 seconds is the gap there between Glocks and Fangio. Glocks has really put his foot down and stormed off at the start of this Grand Prix here. Beast now up into P3 then after the mishap then for SWMJP, has now got himself onto the podium here for his first outing, which is great stuff indeed. Pot Stuff and Jinner battling away as well through turn 3. Yellow flags again. It's for Kamara Racer, the hometown hero. Like I was saying, another VSC has been deployed, and unfortunately for Kamara this time, I think it's because he's gone into the wall there at turn 3. There's no front wing there on that Alfa Romeo, and that is the reason for the second VSC there in 3 laps there. Unfortunately for Kamara, they're having to recover the car and try and get himself back in this Grand Prix, similar to the likes of TK, Sweet and Craigar as well. But what happened there, we did not know. We didn't see that one. So unfortunately we'll have to review that there after the Grand Prix, I think. But yeah, big shame there for the hometown hero of Kamara Racer, looking to get himself some big points here tonight on his first appearance here in Silver Season 7. But it seems the luck there of Kamara then is not gone his way once again. Then DRS re-enabled now for the second time as we got ourselves back underway. Then the VSC back into the box then, and unfortunately that is not going to help Kamara Racer then with his need for a pit stop as well, and that front wing change. Favre getting himself past Mumford now into turn 1. This is going to be where you don't want to be side by side really. Favre up into P8 then after getting 12 places already off the starting grid then in the opening laps, even with 2 VSCs inhibiting the overtaking as well. But now into turn 3, can he go around the outside of Jinner now into turn 3? It's going to be tight indeed. Jinner doesn't want to leave too much room there as well. And into P7 briefly there was Favre, but he's still battling away with Jinner there side by side. Jinner takes the position back there. Craigar sets the fastest lap of the race then after making that extra stop for that wing change as well. Through turn 4 we go now. And blimey, it is getting action-packed. It's very close in silver, but not too close to the top then. Glocks is stretching his legs there. Look at the Ferrari fly. He is up into P1. Well, he's taken P1. He's taken the pole position as Ginner's off the circuit. Ginner's had a problem through into Sector 2, and it's similar to what's happened to Sweet MJP as well. I'm not quite sure if there's a problem for the cars going through there, or if there's a contact or people going side by side, which is not it's not really an overtaking place, is it? But there we go. Then I think, especially when you got far around, then the people he tends to go for some silly moves. I will not blame it on Favre just yet. They haven't seen the footage just yet, but you can already blame. Yeah, I'm already putting the blame on him already. There we go. Beast now is got some DRS there, trying to get himself past Fangio there for P2. Down the order, we've got Irvine there, who's got himself up 3 places as well. They're battling away with pot stuff into turn 3. Heavy on the brakes then for the Red Bull driver. Then can he get himself past? Then up into P5. It's looking strong indeed at this stage. I don't want to curse it, but it's looking strong indeed then for the Red Bull team as he goes towards the inside of turn 4. Then before turn 4, before the braking zone, he's got the move done there. Up into P5 there is Irvine. Great stuff indeed. Now he's got to try and chase down Nigel. 1.7 seconds ahead there. There's the Haas. They're going through into turn 5 as we see the Red Bull in the background now as well. Great stuff indeed. It's been a chaotic start to the Grand Prix, to be fair, but I think everybody's calmed themselves down hopefully a little bit now, and we can get ourselves into the swing of things there with 31 laps still to go here in this Grand Prix. Dopey Lemon's getting himself past his teammate of Plotters then. I think Plotter's just playing the team game there for this stage. Far from Potstuff switching places as Potstuff is in the pit lane there. So Potstuff has decided now to call it a day there on that broken front wing, and has decided to come into the pit lane only 6 laps after he sustained the damage then, which is interesting stuff indeed. Do you reckon he can get the hard compound tyres to the end of the Grand Prix from here? 30 laps on these tyres could be a bit of a stretch there, but we'll see what he can do. And of course the others who are now filtering through as well, trying to catch up here in this Grand Prix. Kamara down into P19 there, trying to play a bit of games there with Craig trying to get himself through there past the Ferrari car. Here comes Potstuff. He's back out there in P17. You can see in the background there is Craig, there is Kamara, there is Sweet MJP then in the coming through turn 1 now. Vessia and Mumford. Vessia and Mumford are switching places as Vessia there on the exit of turn 4 has got the move there on the AlphaTauri. Up into P7 now for Vessia. Looking good indeed after a difficult race in the British Grand Prix last week. He of course has got some bags of pace then has Vessia, but he's unfortunately just battling away then through a very competitive field, exactly, which is very difficult indeed. Just trying gold. But there we go then. Beast there trying to chase down Fangio still. He's not been able to get himself past the Aston Martin just yet then. In the background there, Farf has got himself in release there from Potstuff and is now chasing down Irvine there for that P5 position there with some DRS to play with as well. A lot of DRS zones around here, 3 in fact, so there'll be a lot of DRS trains starting to form as we've got a move for P2 then. Beast up into P2 there, getting himself past the Aston Martin of Fangio then. It goes a bit wide then at turn 3, which might open the door back there for the Aston in towards turn 4 now. DRS available then for the green car as we go down the hill towards turn 4 once again. But he takes P2 and he's held on to P2 now, has Ultimate Beast. Very good stuff indeed. Glocks, I think it might have had an issue then. He's lost about 4/10 or half a second of his time advantage then over these battling two. But now Beast there on the medium compound tyres. Can he try and reel in the race leader then, get himself back in contention then in this Grand Prix, potentially for the race win as well? We saw him get a fantastic race win in Imola last season, which was his highlight of his season, unfortunately for Beast, which he had a difficult time. But in this Grand Prix, he is looking formidable here in Austria, which is fantastic to see then. Beast is back on top then and fighting for the big points here as well. Gordo's had a problem there. Plotters picks up a penalty. Gordo's had an issue then. He's coming back to the pit lane, coming into the pit lane I should say. Unfortunately for Gordo, not sure what happened to Gordo on this stage. We'll hopefully wait and see if there's going to be a wing change or not then. Hopefully it's just maybe it could be a strategic call then. We'll find out then. It is a wing change unfortunately for Gordo, so he's gone into the bag of somebody there and had a problem then unfortunately for Gordo, which is bad news indeed. Plotters with the first penalty then of the evening on the timesheet then for the Williams driver, then switching places with his teammate as we go into turn 3. Side by side there's contact between the front wheels there, banging wheels then into turn 3, and I'm not sure who's got what here. Has Dopey Lemon's got it? Has Plotter's got it? We're not sure, as they've lost a lot of time then with this battling there to the drivers ahead. Mr. Elite is trying to keep Mumford a bit wary as well. Out in front, Nigel, and Nigel has lost the back of the top 3 by 2.7 seconds there. Irvine trying to hold on to that P5. We're now far breathing down his neck there. Vessia coming with them as well, which is great news for Vessia. Looking forward to seeing what he can do in this first race as Dopey Lemons is off the circuit as well. They're in sector 2. Actually, Sector 3. But unfortunately for Dopey Lemons, they're not quite sure what happened there. It's very easy to lose the car then, trying to get yourself on the power very quickly. And unfortunately for the Williams driver, then he's dropping down the field. They're down to P14. Looks like all the wing is intact, though, so hopefully he can carry on in this Grand Prix. Irvine and Favre, and Irvine's had an issue there, and Irvine's lost out to Vessia as well. If Irvine's had a big problem there through turn 1, and I think he might have lost the car, similar to what Indigo did there in the Gold last night, then thankfully he didn't go into the wall then. He's got the front wing intact still as well, so he can carry on in this Grand Prix. Beast is battling away with Fanjo still, and that gap back up to 1.8 seconds, so Glocks has got the form back, the pace back in the Ferrari then. Might have been a technical fault then, just trying to get that sorted then, and he's got it all done and dusted and back underway then for Team Ferrari, for the Prancing Horse team. Fanjo and Ultimate Beast battling away still. They're going to resume their battle then. Nigel in a bit of a no man's land at this stage there in P4 at the moment, but he's going to be very closely watching the battle with his teammate and Vessia and Irvine right behind, who are flying through over the brow of the hill once again then on to lap 9 or lap 10 now of 36. Then it's flying by. We're almost at a third way distance already, which is been pretty good indeed. Fanjo then not making the move then into turn 1. He's going to bide his time on the back of that Red Bull. Can he make a move now up the hill towards turn 3? Here we go. You can see the Ferrari of Glocks then in the race lead there in the foreground then as we go up the hill. Then Aston Martin back up in front now into P2, and Beast slotting himself back into P3 then. Any moves further back then at the moment, not so much then. Vessia is trying to stick with Favre. Irvine has lost out the DRS there. Irvine's struggling at this stage. Not quite sure what's happened to Irvine there. He's going strong in the first few laps. Now it seems to be favouring his rivals. Here comes Vessia on the back of Favre. Can he make a move? Not quite. He has to sit behind for the time being, that is, as R2Beat has got himself back past Plotters as well. Now into the points goes R2Beat. They're good stuff indeed from him, and they're still fighting side by side almost, but I think R2Beat has got the move covered off then into turn 5. He is up into the points paying positions. Great stuff indeed then from the McLaren reserve. Mumford is now looking to try and get a move then done on Irvine. Then Irvine, I think, is not quite sure what's happened to Irvine here. He seems to be struggling as he's gone through the last couple of laps or so. As they're almost Mumford. They're having a bit of a spin there, trying to correct the car. He has got it all sorted though, which is good news indeed. Their Beast coming back at Fanjo now. Let's see if the roles are going to be reversed there as we go up the hill once again then for the Red Bull driver, and it's going to be P2 then for the Red Bull driver as we go into the braking zone of turn 3. Then he's got the move done there up into P3. Of course the DRS now switches into Fanjo's favour, but can he make the move there down towards turn 4? It is very tight indeed then towards turn 4. Heavy braking zone, like I was saying earlier in qualifying. It can be easy to get wrong. Then we can see collisions through turn 4, but at the moment Fanjo keeping it nice and clean then on Beast. Vessia and Favre though, are they going to get their elbows out? These two drivers then are very keen on an overtake, aren't they? But it seems like Vessia has slotted in behind once again. He can't make the move just yet on the Haas driver, so he has to sit behind literally, that is, because Favre's in the Haas, so we didn't get that one. But there you go. Mumford and Irvine battling away. Mr. Elite has joined the battle as well, which is great news for Mr. Elite. If you can hold on to that 1 second window, get himself pulled along then, as Craig R has had an issue. Safety car is being called out then. Craig R off the circuit at the exit of that's the top of the hill really, isn't it, of turn 3. It's not really on the exit of the corner. Irvine is in the box then. He's called it a day then on those hard compact tyres, I think, for Irvine. Same for Mumford then. Mumford coming in. Mr. Elite coming in as well. Activity then for Plotters and for Reflection and for Ginner as well. I think there's going to be quite a few pit stops here as the drivers then taking advantage of the safety car, which unfortunately for Craig R, I'm not quite sure what happened to Craig R there, but he has DNF in the first, I think it was the first official DNF really of the silver season after we only had a couple of people retire in Britain then with rear wing damage, but unfortunately for Craig R, I don't think that was rear wing damage. I think that was something a bit more serious than that collision with the wall, which is a big shame indeed for Craig R after having a stellar performance then in Silverstone. Hopefully he can bounce back in a week's time for Spain there, but the safety car has been brought out then, and Glocks has gone past the safety car, so the safety car is waiting at the entry to turn 3 for the race leader. But when will we see some pit stops here? We'll have to wait and see if they're going to be coming in. I think it makes sense for them to come in, but will they or won't they? I am not in control. And into the box we go then for the race leader and for Beast and for Fanjo as well. Then it's going to be quite difficult down at Haas because they're very close together. Then 3 seconds separates Nigel and Favre as we go into the box then. But they both are pitting here, so it's going to be a bit of a double stack then from the Haas team But there we go. Then out of the box goes the former race leader. Then he's back up into the race lead, of course, with Fanjo's pit stop. And will rejoin. Where's he going to rejoin, though? Because R2 Beat is coming through. And R2 Beat is coming through. And he's going to take the race lead here is R2 Beat then. As Craig R, unfortunately, has left the session then. But R2 Beat then, he hasn't stopped, I don't believe. No, he has not stopped at all. So he hasn't stopped then, has R2 Beat. Then he's stayed out, but he's now the race leader after electing not to pit then under the safety car. I think that might be a difficult choice then for R2 Beat, because I think those drivers behind on fresh tyres, especially for Glocks then, who's on soft compound tyres, will be a lot faster than those than the hard compounds there on the McLaren. They're 12-lap old hard compound tyres for R2 Beat. Then everybody else is on fresh tyres now after making their stops behind the safety car. It's good news for TK, for Pot Stuff, for Gordo, for Kamara and Sweet and JP. Then, of course, with their front wing changes early on in the Grand Prix, the safety car has now brought them back into contention then to get themselves back into the fight then for some points as well. Then safety car just waiting to bunch up the rest of the pack then, and there we go. We'll be able to get ourselves back underway for some racing here once again. Then, of course, we've had two VSCs, one safety car, and TK and Dopey Lemon seem to be having a few antics under the safety car as well, which you're not allowed to pass each other under safety car if you didn't know the rule there. It's quite a basic rule, it's quite a simple rule, it's quite an obvious rule, but still people try and do it. So yeah, not quite sure why, but there we go. So that is all sorted. I think. Good stuff indeed. This will jumble things up, says Serious Mushroom, then Glocks will Muller him. I hope not the aforementioned Muller that we know about, but only Serious Mushroom knows that one. Wouldn't have chose softs, says Serious Mushroom. Well, I'm not sure. It depends. Obviously, firstly, if there's more safety cars, then Glocks might be in a good position here. Also, if he's going to make another stop, he could be able to do a soft to the end from here as well, in my professional opinion, which is not worth anything really. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Safety car has got everybody in the train now, so we'll hopefully be back racing at the end of this lap, and we can get ourselves back underway then. R2 Beat has elected, like I said, not to pit then at this stage of the Grand Prix. He is going to have a bit of a difficult time, I think, then trying to deal with the drivers coming through then on the fresher tyres. Safety car is coming in this lap then, so we'll be back in the box then. Bert Mylander is parking up that lovely red Mercedes in just a few corners time for him, and we can get ourselves back underway here in Austria then for lap 15 to 36 hopefully of green flag running then, but we'll wait and see. R2 Beat now the de facto safety car leader, waiting for that lovely yellow dot to get himself back in the pit lane so that we can get ourselves back underway for some racing here as well. Yeah, I think we've got Caden and Serious Mushroom. They're debating the strategy there from R2 and I don't think I'm going to side with them in the comment section. I don't think it's going to be the best strategy then compared to those who have just pitted as well. Then away we go for the restart of the Grand Prix. Look at that already, Glocks all over the back of the McLaren there before we even get to the start finish line, and he's already passed, and he has passed just behind the start finish line, I think. No, he's gone back behind, I think, maybe just to appease the stewards then, but now into turn one then, all over the back of the McLaren once again, then up towards turn three, I think, into turn three, into the braking zone. Glocks is going to have the lead of the Grand Prix compared to the brakes on those, compared to the grip on those medium compound, hard compound tyres for Beat, I should say. I don't think it's going to be much of a contest, as in the background there is Red Bull and Aston Martin banding away side by side, also up the hill then, and now down towards turn four. They're going to be sandwiched behind this McLaren, I think, as well then, of Beat then, and now into turn four. It's going to be tight indeed. There's a Haas in there of Nigel as well, and they're going to go side by side again through turn five, and now this is going to be very tense indeed, because Beast on the fresh tyres then is one of the steams out past the McLaren as well. Up into P4 goes Beast there after fighting with Fangio. He's lost out to Nigel as well. Beat has been passed by Vessia. The fresh tyres just aren't the best tyre to be on. Vessia is still battling away with the McLaren there in towards the penultimate turn. Then round the outside goes Vessia. A great move indeed then for the Alfa Romeo driver, I should say, as now Beat there has been swallowed up then by the pack then, I think. Look at this, Mumford now all over the back of him as well. into turn one, going to go side by side. That's a bit of a dodgy area to go side by side as Mr. Elite has gone up. Look, Mr. Elite on the curb there, and he's out of the Grand Prix, and he's DNF'd at the exit of turn one as well. That is a big crash indeed, and that's another safety car for, oh my God, for this Grand Prix. Safety car then, Mr. Elite. I don't think there was any helping hand there. I think he just got himself on the exit curve there, from my reckoning anyway. Hopefully somebody with a keen eye can review that. But yeah, on the reckoning there, I think he got himself caught up on the curb and spun the car up on the traction there, out into the wall, similar to Indigo last night as well. Then it is a bit of a treacherous turn one, not one you can really take at full pace, in my personal opinion. But there we go. That means nothing because it's my personal opinion. So there we are then. Glocks then leading the way still. Will he take the opportunity now to pit, go on to some hard compound tyres or maybe even medium compound tyres? 20 laps remain in this Grand Prix, but they're going to have to do another couple of laps behind safety car as well. So that might mean that we might see some more pit stops here as well. I think we might, not so much for Glocks though. Glocks staying out here at this stage on the soft compound tyres, though that is going to be interesting stuff indeed then, because of course he is going to have to pit again, I would imagine. I don't think those soft compound tyres are going to get to the end of the Grand Prix from here. R2 Beat then is going to choose to pit under this safety car, and he is going to call it a day then on the hard compound tyres and go on to a set of medium compound tyres. Very good stuff indeed, and that is him in the box and out of the box and back underway. And that is all the pit stop activity we got in this one. So there's only one pitter in this safety under the second safety car, and that is R2 Beat then, who didn't pit under the first safety car. So that is that done and dusted then. I think hopefully we'll be able to get ourselves back underway quite quickly in this one. Sweet and Gordo switching places. I'm not quite sure what these drivers are up to here. As we go into turn 3, you need to be behind the car that is in front of you, and not next to it or ahead of it, that is. I don't know if people have figured that out yet, but hopefully they have now. And R2 then has caught up to the back of the train almost as well. So hopefully, I'm not quite sure if it will come in this lap, but we might have one more lap and that will be it. And then lap 18, we should be able to resume this Grand Prix. Liam has said he's done 22, well, that was yesterday, I think. He's done 22 laps on mediums and they were terrible at the end. So that is a nice little indicator then for the silver drivers then, who are all on fresh medium compound tyres and looking to do 20, what is that, 20, I can't do the maths now. It's 20 laps to go, and then they've done 5 laps already. So they're going to look to do 25 laps then for reference. So Liam has said 22 laps then, and they feel terrible. And these drivers here in silver are going to try and do 25 laps. So good luck to them. We'll see how it goes. There might be some more pit activity then in this Grand Prix, based on what Liam has told us, and also what I expect as well, especially the Glocks and who's on the soft compound tyres. I don't think they're going to be able to do 25 laps. So yeah, we'll wait and see. But I think those on the hards might be in a good spot here. If anybody wants to enlighten me in the comment section who is going to be in pole position, not literally, for the end of this Grand Prix, then we might see the likes of Beast, the likes of TK, the likes of Dopey Lemons, the likes of Kamara Racer, who's had a difficult start to his home Grand Prix, get themselves back into the order, then back up into the points paying positions as well, especially as the tyre wear starts to kick in for the medium runners and for the soft runner of Glocks then towards the end of the race as well. And not to forget R2 Beat as well, to be fair. He's on much fresher medium compound tyres, so they should be able to get to the end of the Grand Prix from here on out, I should say. But we will hopefully have the race resumed, as we have a nice view of the Styrian Mountains here. If you ever want to go to Austria, I'm not a travel agent or a travel tour guide, but it looks nice, and there's F1 racing there, so sounds good to me. But there we are. Right then, safety car back in this lap then. We've had 2 safety cars, we've had 2 VSCs, and we can finally get ourselves back underway then halfway through the Grand Prix here. And fingers crossed we can get to the end of the Grand Prix from here on out as well. So of course Glocks then will take the race restart then from this one. R2 Beat then previously did the first safety car restart. Then we've got 2 safety cars. Second safety car restart is Glocks then on the soft compound tyres. So he will decide when to get himself going. It looks like Burnt Mylander has got himself back in the box then, so we can get ourselves back underway then whenever Glocks wants to drop the hammer. And he has dropped the hammer now, I think, then, and away we go then for the restart of this Grand Prix then, on to lap 19 of 36 then. 18 laps remaining now, and away we go then. Nigel then sticking with Glocks this time. There's more activity. What's happened there for Kamara Racer? He's back in the pit lane. Is Kamara? That's not what he wanted to do, strategy wise that is, but unfortunately Is there wing damage then for Kamara Racer? I'm not quite sure what the... there is a left end plate missing there for Kamara Racer. I'm not quite sure what happened to the Alfa Romeo then. It must have been under safety car, which is a bit of an odd thing to happen in any instance there. Jenna and TK battling away then into P11 for Jenna now, and we've got Sweet MJP getting himself past Gordo as well into P15. Like Liam was saying, what I expect, based on what Liam was saying, we might have some more pit stop activity then towards the end of this Grand Prix. Favre getting himself up into P5 past Vessia now into the higher echelons now of the points paying positions as well. Of course, starting down the back of the grid was Favre, but I don't want to give him driver of the day, so vote for somebody else then if the poll does come up towards the end of the Grand Prix. But good stuff indeed. Nigel is doing a lot better job now of sticking to the race leader of Glocks. Then those soft compound tyres will wear out very quickly indeed. Then I wouldn't expect him to go more than 14, 15 laps there, which means that he's already done half of his stint already at this stage. Plotters, another 3-second penalty for Plotters. That is 2 for him, I think. That is 6 seconds there for the Williams driver then, and 3 for Reflection as well, which will be added onto their race time at the end of the Grand Prix. Kamara there is back out on track. He's onto another set of medium compound tyres, onto a fresher set of medium compound tyres, but he's not going to be too happy with where he is in terms of position there on this grid, and hopefully he can he was hoping for another safety car, I think, to try and get himself back in the fray. But talking about fray, Nigel is trying to get himself in the realms of that 1 second, or stay in the 1 second window then of the race leader. Glocks is now I think he's got those soft compound tyres warmed up nicely now, and he's got himself back underway there, over 1 second to Nigel now, and trying to power on now is the Ferrari driver. Good stuff indeed. Then he's got that got the temperatures switched on now in that in those soft compound tyres, and away he goes. Fandra there is trying to stick with Nigel and Beast as well. If Beast can hold on with these hard compound tyres, and the tyre wear starts to kick in then for the medium runners, and of course for Glocks as well in the race lead, I think we could see Beast there in for another shout of a race win here, and that would be no mean feat indeed, especially for Beast, who's had a difficult season last season. He had a fantastic win in Imola, like I said earlier on in the qualifying, but he had a really difficult season overall, and this would be a fantastic on round 2, but his first race of the season after missing the first opening Grand Prix. This would be pretty epic indeed for the Red Bull driver, but of course I don't want to do anything too rude and curse him like a commentator normally does. Jinner's off the circuit. Jinner's had a problem there at turn 3. He's ghosted there, but he's let Reflection, TK and Potstuff go through. Dopey Lemons now is going to be trying to chase down that Aston Martin there into P13, but he's just let the 2 of them go, well, let the 3 of them go through, really. I'm not sure if there was contact that caused that incident there. We'll have to wait and see. There potentially there could be some incidents to review here in Silver after this race is completed. But nonetheless, so far the action has been thrilling indeed then. And off the circuit goes Potstuff. Potstuff had a problem there. Oh, he's reset the track. That is not allowed, but didn't see it. But there we go then. Potstuff there has had an issue there through into Sector 2. And unfortunately, it's corrected the car there. It spun the car back around there. But I'm not quite sure what happened there to Potstuff as well. That curb on the inside of turn 5 is treacherous indeed, so it might have been to do with that curb as well. Here comes Fandra now. DRS available then for the Aston Martin as we go up the hill towards turn 3, and Nigel is pretty much perilous to the Aston Martin as well as we go up the hill. DRS of course not available for Nigel. He's not within the 1 second window of Glocks as we go into turn 3. Nigel down to P3 and Fanjo takes P2 back. This has been pretty good so far. So, like I said, I've always had a nice little bit of a breather every now and then. Kamara Racer is 20 seconds back there from Potstuff, trying to get himself back in this Grand Prix. He's not having the best opening race of his season either, and not having the best home Grand Prix either as well. But it could be worse. He could be myself, who's British, racing in the British Grand Prix and not getting any points either, to be honest. Gordo and Beat battling away then into Sector 3. Now we go, and Gordo's got the place there on the McLaren there up into P15 there, but he's now dropped off the back. Those Beast picks up a 3-second penalty. That is bad news indeed for the Red Bull driver, who could potentially be on the looking for a race win here in Austria, and that 3-second penalty of course will be added on to his race time at the end. So if anybody's within 3 seconds, as again Potstuff resets the track. I did see that on the track map even this time, but yeah, I'm not going to mention it. A virtual safety car has been released. I'm not quite sure. Is it for Potstuff? Potstuff's lost his front wing there at the final corner. That's why Potstuff there trying to get himself round there. Going to have to do a whole lap as well behind or under the VSC, but without a front wing, more importantly. But hopefully he can get himself back to the pit lane there to sort that out as quickly as possible. Then Kamara Racer is going to be just jumping on to lap 23 as well, very briefly, as Mr. Elite has left the session there. Mr. Elite is, sorry, Mr. Elite, I thought we were still in the Grand Prix, sorry about that. Mr. Elite, of course, had a big smash that caused the second safety car. Dopey Lemons has got a drive-through penalty then for speeding under the safety car, VSC, I should say, as well. VSC is back away, well, gone away, I should say, and we can get ourselves back racing here, but Plotters, no, it wasn't Plotters, it was his teammate of Dopey Lemons there has got a drive-through penalty then for speeding under the VSC, which is going to cost him dearly as well. It's going to demote him down to the back of the grid, unfortunately, for Dopey Lemons there, which is not going his way then this Grand Prix either, unfortunately for him. Hopefully he can get himself onto a set of soft compound tyres potentially and get himself a fastest lap point here or there. Sweet MGP was going to take that place there. P13 now for Sweet MGP as well as we get ourselves back underway. Gorder was in the box too. Gorder's had a problem as well, it looks like. He's calling it a day then on the... No, he's not had a problem. It doesn't look like the front wing's still intact there. It's a strategic call then from Gorder, then onto the soft compound tyres. He's stuck in the pit lane. What's happened to Gorder then? He's held in the pit lane here as Gordo. Not quite sure what was happening there for the Mercedes driver. He's got himself sorted now, as is Potstuff getting a new front wing on that Alpine car onto a set of hard compound tyres, but we'll be able to go to the end of the Grand Prix from there, I would imagine. So that is not too shabby indeed. Kamara there has gained a place there on Potstuff after that wing change there for the Alpine car. Right then, out in front there, Fangio now has caught up to the Ferrari of Glocks then. This is where we were thinking that the strategy might come into the favour then. Is he going to go into the pit lane here as well? It looks like the Ferrari then from the race lead has relinquished the race lead now, and into P1 goes Fangio there, into the box goes Glocks then to get off those soft compound tyres onto something a bit fresher. And it is going to be a set of, a set of medium compound tyres there to the end of the Grand Prix for Glocks. Then he's dropping down the order, and he's going to have to do a lot of fighting through the field then to try and get himself back into the fray. But we did expect this. We did expect there was going to be some more pit stops, and we did expect that some might stay out as well. And this could be good news. It could be bad news then for some drivers then, whether they're going to make the pit stop or the extra stop work in their favour. They're going to have to gain at least 20 seconds of race time back on the fresher tyres to get themselves back into the fight as well. Gordo is in the pit lane again, so Gordo's having a problem out there. I'm not quite sure what is going on for Gordo, but he's got himself onto a set of soft compound tyres now, thankfully, and hopefully can get himself to the end of the Grand Prix from here as well. But yeah, a bit of a struggle there for Gordo. Hopefully he's got it all sorted now. Beast there, like I was saying, well, even with the penalty, could be in for a shout here, could he? It's going to be difficult to tell there until the very end, of course, which is usually where it is when the checker flag does fall. But at the moment, he's going to be losing a place to Farf. Then it would again be a double Haas podium as it stands, with Farf in P3 and Nigel P2 and Fangio taking the race win. That is how it stands at the moment with Beast's penalty. But of course, it could change where we've got another 11 laps to go. Gino is in the pit lane there, so I think some drivers then are deciding that it's not going to work then on the medium compound tyres. We've got a change for the race lead as Nigel has got the inside then into turn 3, takes the position on Fangio. Up into P1 goes the Haas driver then, of course. Fangio now with DRS going to switch back there on the Haas car and try and go down the inside into turn 4 this time and return the favour then into turn 4. And Beast there is waiting in the wings there. Can he pick up any pieces there? Beast is looking to get him down the inside. Turn to the outside of turn 5 then with Nigel. Oh, there's a bit of argy-bargy going on there between the two of them as well. And it seems like it's going to be difficult to hold it around there. The battling there is costing them time, of course, to Fangio, who's now going to be very thankful of this, to try and skate on and try and get away from the 3 behind. Farfa's waiting in the wings also. That Haas all the way up the diffuser then of the Red Bull. And Beast is in a bit of a sandwich here. And a Haas sandwich nonetheless, and blimey, that is intense indeed. But Nigel then has got the position. He kept the position, I should say, on Beast there, but he's lost out, I think, of DRS range there. Oh, as Beast always trying to correct the car, trying to get the car back on circuit, and Favre takes the place then with the correction then from the Red Bull car. I think he's fighting a bit too hard. I don't think he realises that the tyres then for the drivers ahead of him are just not going to be able to. I don't think they're going to be able to get to the end of the Grand Prix here, and if they do, they're going to be much worse than his hard compound tyres. I don't think he's realised that, and the fighting there has cost the Haas drivers then the position now, and the plate and the pace then to Fangio, who's stormed off into the lead by 1.6 seconds now, and all that battling there from Beast there has really cost the two Haas drivers and the Red Bull a lot of time indeed then. And now Fangio, can he get his skates on? Can he try and hold on? Can he go to the end of the Grand Prix from here? It will be a fantastic feat if he can manage it. It will be, what is that? That is going to be, I think, 24 laps, 25 laps on the medium compound tyres. I'm not sure. I'm just not sure, really. I can't tell. But we will tell in the end of 36 laps, then we'll find out. But it seems like everyone's staying out at this stage at the moment. Then TK, I think, is in for a good shout here as well. If he can get within 3 seconds of Beast and the other drivers on mediums do have to pit, then TK could be in for a race win here. Of course, the bronze champion from Season 6 is looking strong here indeed. And he's trying to chase down his teammate as well then for P6. Maglox sets the fastest lap of the race then, but he's down in P13. He's not been able to make any moves just yet on the drivers ahead of him, and that is costly indeed. Then he's not in the points just yet either. He's not been able to get himself through into the points just yet at this stage, or after that pit stop 3 laps ago now. But of course, the tyre wear for those drivers, as Reflection has got himself past TK, I should say, there into turn 4. And like I was saying, the tyre wear for all the drivers ahead of Glocks then is going to be so significant that potentially he'll be able to just breeze past then in the last few laps of this Grand Prix. TK not been able to breeze past Reflection though. Reflection as a veteran then of league racing and has stuck his tail, I suppose you could say, in the right place, and kept the position then ahead of the AlphaTauri then, but down towards the penultimate turn there's contact between the front wing then of the AlphaTauri and the diffuser then of the Alpine as we go in towards turn 1, and DRS available of course for the AlphaTauri. Blotters there in the background there, P9 there in the Williams looking strong indeed. Then he's got some DRS to play with as well. Glocks has got himself past 1 now, past R2B then into turn 1. There's contact again there between R2B and Glocks this time, and there's more moves being made further up the order as TK gets himself back past Reflection. Mumford gets himself past Vessier as well for P5. So there's a lot of fighting going on here as well. There's going to be fights all over the place, I think, as once again Nigel and Favre up into the podium places, which is good for one Haas driver and bad for everybody else. Because we don't want to see Favre doing too well. Oh, contact there from Plotters then and TK there as we go through into the second sector, and TK is trying to cling on there to Reflection. I think there's contact again. Is there Irvine trying to battle his way through past the Williams, and Irvine up into P9. I think Plotters there as a reserve is just trying to keep it calm there in this stage of the Grand Prix, which is fair play to him, especially trying to fight for a point here as well. But well done for all of them getting through unscathed, I suppose you could say. Favre now is all over the back of his teammate. Could he get himself past Nigel and try and get himself after Fangio, potentially bring Nigel back into the fight then for the race lead as well? Swear has picked up a penalty. That is his first penalty, I believe, of the Grand Prix. It is getting action-packed then as we've got, as Favre has got himself past his teammate now for P2 and up into P2 now, trying to get himself after Fangio as well now. And this could be a bit of teamwork here from the Haas drivers to try and hold on to their podium at least. Got R2B's back past Sweet MJP. Then the tyres, I think, for Sweet MJP are struggling here. Those 18-lap-old medium compounds are not too happy at this stage. And this is where we were saying Glocks might be able to get himself through quite easily now, because the tyre life comparison between those ahead of him and the fresh tyres now on the Ferrari is going to be night and day. Well, not literally, because hopefully we can keep the lights on here in Austria for the next few laps at least. Yeah, we're looking at Glocks then. Glocks down the inside there at turn 5. He's got himself past the Williams. There's yellow flags in the background. Yellow flags for Gordo, who's had a problem there at the final turn. Then Gordo trying to get himself back underway. He has got himself sorted now. Hopefully that's no safety cars or anything like that. I think unfortunately Gordo has had an accident there at the exit of the final corner and has got himself back underway, thankfully, just letting the lap cars or the lead cars go through. But yeah, like I said, 5 laps to go now. Well, 6 and a, what, 5.5, 5 and a bit. But there we go. Nigel back past Favre. Then these two working together, I think, here to try and get that gap closed there to the race leader of Fangio. 18 laps now on the medium compound tyres for the majority of the grid there. Ultimate Beast is on 18 lap old hard compound tyres. Can he get himself potentially a race win, as Glocks has got himself past Irvine now? I think the 6 lap old medium compound tyres is not going to be much of a contest here between the rest of the field. TK back up ahead of Reflection now. Surely TK TK will be in a great spot here. We'll look at the penalty situation. There's the driver of the day. There is the driver of the day poll in the comment section. Get your votes in there. You might want to hold off on your votes for the time being, though, because there's going to be plenty of action here to unfold here in Spielberg. In the last few laps, there's a spin there. There's a car off. It's Gordo. I thought it was a car. Oh, sorry, Gordo. I don't mean any disrespect there, but I thought it was somebody who was in the points there. But unfortunately for Gordo, then he's had another spin. Just trying to get himself back round is Gordo, but yeah, I didn't mean to. Sorry about that, Gordo. But yeah, there we go. Ultimate Beast there is trying to put the pressure on now. I think he's going to be having to fight these two Haas cars as he's going to go side by side with Favre then in towards turn 3. Nigel trying to give the other Haas car a slipstream as we go around the outside into turn 3, and I think this could be Beast's opportunity now to try and get the race win, or potentially the race, potentially P2, I should say. DRS now available for Beast there in towards turn 4. He's got the inside. He's got the line. Is there problems down the back of the field there for TK as he's dropping down the field as well there, but Beast up into P2. Then he's taken the position on both the Haas cars there in a couple of corners, and now trying to chase down Fandro. Then even with that 3-second penalty, can he hold on? Can he get himself a podium here in Austria on his first outing in Silver Season 7? This would be fantastic stuff indeed from Beast. It is looking good indeed for Beast as well. We'll look at the position changes as well briefly, as there you can see 16 places for Favre there, 10 for Vessia. Like I was saying, Vessia has done a fantastic job so far in this Grand Prix, and unfortunate luck there just cost him points in Britain, I think it was last week. But hopefully he can get some here tonight in Austria. And at the moment it is both the Haas's still on the podium. Of course, they've got the DRS there on Beast there, but can the tyres hold on? Can the medium tyres hold on then for all these drivers then who've stayed out? Then they have to go to the end. Their Reflection and TK in the box now. They've called it a day then on the medium compound tyres. It's a little bit too late then to take advantage of the softs, I would imagine there. But here comes Nigel trying to fight back on the Red Bull then into turn 4, and he's got the place there. Back up into P2 goes Nigel as well. Then these two fighting away has let Fangio just breeze off in the distance, I think, to be fair. But Fangio is not going to be complaining about that at all, I don't think, unless he gets a puncture or something. That is the only thing I think that can stop him at this stage. So like I was saying, 3 seconds for Beast, 6 seconds for Plotters, then as Potstuff picks up another penalty as well. I think that's 6 seconds for Potstuff as well. 3 for Sweet, 3 for Jenner, and 3 for Reflection also, which is a bit of a shame there. Glocks there has got himself back past Mumford. Mumford was, like I said, struggling away there on those medium compound tyres, but I don't think Glocks has got the pace or got the laps left then to take back the race lead at this stage of the Grand Prix, which is unfortunate stuff indeed there, because Glocks there was looking great indeed. Of course, pole position, he was absolutely fantastic there in qualifying. He was absolutely fantastic in the first half of this Grand Prix as well, but the strategy just hasn't worked out just yet so far, unless everybody ahead of him gets punctures, which could be possible, to be fair, at this stage of the race. Then 22 laps then on those medium compound tyres, which is exactly what Liam was saying in the comment section was an issue, because this is where they start to drop off, then start to feel horrible. And now Glocks up into P5. He's got a 4-second gap though to the top 4, which I think is too much. Gordo sets the fastest lap of the race. Great stuff from Gordo there for plugging away. Even though he's a lap down, he's got himself potentially a fastest lap point as well to add to his tally and to his team's tally as well. So fair play to Gordo for plugging away and carrying on in this Grand Prix. Potstuff also in the pit lane for a set of soft compound tyres, potentially going to go for the fastest lap point as well. We will wait and see. There could be a fight for fastest lap then at the end of this one as well, into the final turn then to finish off lap 34 of 36. 2 laps remain here in this Grand Prix. Then the gap out in front then is coming down, but only very slightly, not enough for Beast then to potentially get himself onto the top step then of the podium, and I think he might be at risk of costing himself a podium there with that penalty as well. That 3-second penalty will be added on to his race time. Here comes Nigel then up into P2. Is he down the inside at turn 3? And Favre going to try and sneak through as well. Is he going to be trying to make as much moves as possible? He has made the moves up into P3 then, getting himself past Beast, and Beast unfortunately has lost 2 places then to both the Haas drivers in that one corner, which is a bit of a shame there for Beast. But what he really needs to worry about now is Glocks, because Glocks can get that P4 from him as well, and potentially if he gets within 3 seconds there of Ultimate Beast, that time penalty will be added on to his race time. TK set the fastest lap of the race on lap 35 then with a great 5-minute 2, I think it was, which is faster than my qualifying time, to be fair, pretty much. But there we go then. Here comes Favre now. Can Favre try and taste a P2 then? Can he get himself ahead of Nigel then? Is there going to be any team orders there? Is Beast going to get himself back in the fray? We'll find out then. The gap out in front, 2.7 seconds. Fangio is disappearing off in the distance here as well. We will come back to Fangio at the end of this lap as well, but there's still a lot of battling to go in this Grand Prix, in this final lap of this Austrian Grand Prix as well. Get your votes in now for Driver of the Day. Nigel, Favre, Vessier and Mumford are your candidates then for the Driver of the Day poll then. Mumford there just getting himself past Vessier, as I said that as well. They're up into P6 there for Mumford. Great stuff indeed for the AlphaTauri driver as well. Vessier almost giving him a tap in the back there, and hopefully that is, well, thankfully it hasn't caused any issues then. Sweet MGP and Beat there battling away for the final points pay position. There's Favre there going for a move there on his teammate Nigel up into P2 then, getting himself past the championship leader there, or the previous championship leader then, as well as now into the, well, he's going to be, I think, still mathematically the championship leader actually anyway. But there we go then. 3 seconds now. The gap out in front there as Favre there has been battling away with Nigel there, his teammate there. He's got himself into P2, but it's cost him a bit of time there. But here comes Fangio. Potstaff sets the fastest lap of the race then. Great stuff indeed from Potstaff and from TK and from Gordon for carrying on in this one. But here comes Fangio there to cross the line to take the victory for the Aston Martin team then in the final, well, in his first race of the season as well there in the Aston Martin. Great stuff indeed as he crosses the line to take the victory here in Austria. Oh, a bit of lag then, but thankfully it happened after the Grand Prix had finished then. Good stuff indeed. Favre there in P2, a fantastic drive again through the field, but we can't say too much nice things about Favre, otherwise his head will explode. Nigel there in P3 again, still got himself through the field there from P7 on the grid, which is still no mean feat. And Glocks then only 1.1 seconds behind the top three after making the extra stop as well, so the time was tumbling down. If he had an extra few laps, if he had maybe even just 2 or 3 extra laps, then potentially we could have seen Glocks there get himself back on the podium, potentially go for the win, go back into the race lead, I should say. Mumford gets P5, Vessier in P6, Ultimate Beast there with the time penalties unfortunately cost himself P4 at the time. It's down to P7 there. Irvine in P8 there, but both the Red Bulls there getting some good points then after he didn't make the first race of the season. Then R2 Beat does get P9, and then we had somebody else in P10. But we'll cover the classification very shortly. But fantastic racing indeed there. That was absolutely epic from all the drivers then. Really put on a good show then here in Spielberg, as we've seen from Silver then in the last week, round 1, and here tonight as well for round 2. Then there is your podium sitters then. Fangio on the top step then breezed away towards the end with the battling between both the Hasses and the Red Bull of Ultimate Beast then. Gets the P1 position then. And I think that's dedicated to Charlie King then, of course, who of course is attending a funeral tonight then, who could not be available then in the Aston Martin. So fair play, and congratulations, commiserations of course to Charlie King, and thoughts are with him as well. But congratulations then to Fangio then, who has jumped into the Aston Martin to reserve here tonight and put in a fantastic performance. There is Favre then in P2. Unfortunately P2, well, we can't say anything good about Favre. So yeah, P2 for Favre. Nigel in P3. Glocks then did recover to P4 in the end. Mumford in P5. Vessier P6. Beast in P7 with the penalties added on. Irvine in P8, then R2 Beat does get a point, 2 points, in P9. Plotters as well gets a point in the Williams in P10, even with 6 seconds of penalties as well that were added on. Jinner in P11, Sweet in P12 there, Dopey Lemons P13, Reflection P14, TK P15, Kamara Racer in P16. Not a great home race for Kamara Racer, unfortunately. Potstuff P17 and the fastest lap as well, so he didn't give up. He got the fastest lap point as well. Gordo in P18, and unfortunately Mr. Elite and Craig are DNF'd from this Grand Prix earlier on in the race. Right. Dynamo Dan says, can't wait for Favre's post-race comments. We will get to that very shortly, as we are all looking forward to that so much. But we will start off with P3 then of Nigel. Then Nigel, you had a difficult qualifying, it looked like, compared to your standards. Then it was P7 for yourself. Did qualifying go to plan, or were you expecting a bit more pace?
No, the qualification was really difficult. I was really struggling to get stints right. And definitely the last stint, I was 2 tenths up, and just screwed it up in the last corner. So that sucks. But still, P7 was a great result. The race itself was also looking fine. I had not the pace today that the top guys had. Venture was just too quick today, and with all the battling, I didn't keep it up. But at the end, we had a great result. Vartus P2 and P3. So we are looking forward to the next race.
And did you think the battling there cost you potentially the race win?
Yeah, maybe, but yeah, I like the battle. But at the end, Venjo has the most fun about it. But no, it's still solid points, and the championship is still looking forward in my way.
Well, you managed to, it's a double podium then. I suppose it's no mean feat then at the start of the season. 2 podiums then back to back. So what are you thinking for Spain in a week's time?
Hope to get the double podium also.
Okay, good stuff indeed. Well, we'll hopefully see you back in the interviews then for Spain in a week's time, of course. We've got Farf in P2. I'm looking forward for this, if you couldn't tell by my voice. But Farf there, P2 from yourself. From 20th on the grid then, did you have a problem in qualifying? You couldn't get a lap time in?
I did.
Okay, and you had a great race. Did you think you could have got the race win?
Nah.
And trying to think of a question here for Farf. I can actually talk. Right. What were you? What was your strategy? What was your pit stop strategy? Then, how many times did you think you were going to pit in this Grand Prix?
Once.
Didn't work. Okay, thanks very much, Farf. Well done. And then we've got Fandra, then P1 on the top step. Then from well, a fantastic battle. Then it was both the Irish boys. Unfortunately for Glocks, then the extra stop didn't work out in his favour. But both the Irish boys there on the front row of the grid then for the Austrian Grand Prix, and you left it all on the line there. I don't think there was anything wrong with your qualifying there, Fanjo.
Oh, I was fuming. My Irish counterparts fucking just pit me at the line. But no, I was happy enough. With qualifying. I think 3.9 was pretty much as quick as I could go. In fairness, I was happy with that.
It was pretty fast indeed, and much faster than I could do. So fair play. But no, and then in the race, it seemed like you were battling away with Glocks for the most part, and of course there was both the Haas drivers there with you as well. Did you think the race win was on the cards, or did you think that potentially Glocks was on the winning strategy after the second safety car?
Yeah, I was in a party with him, and we were considering the 2-stop, but I think he wanted to go softs and then mediums, and I thought mediums could go to the end, so I kind of went on the mediums, and if needed I could go on to the softs. But it was funny because I think on the formation lap we asked another guy in the party where is Fart and Nigel, and he's like, what, why? And then he was like 20th and 7th or something. I was like, oh, well, because they're going to be fucking up around the podium. So we always had them in the back of our mind. But yeah, unfortunate to Magnox he had to pit another time, and he didn't get another safety car, but he made a good recovery, I think, and he got back to something like P4. So
yeah, he's P4 in the end there. But a fantastic race win from yourself. And like I said, towards the end, did you know, even with the tyre situation, that you had it in the bag there with the battling for the 2 Hasses and the Red Bull behind you?
Yeah, I kind of got a bit lucky. I think Nigel overtook me, and then I overtook him, and then him and Ultimate Beast went side by side, and that kind of lost him time, and I saw that was my opportunity, so I just broke out the DRS, and I knew I had relatively good enough pace to stay out of it. So I was kind of just watching Maglox at that stage, kind of seeing how many positions he could make up. But not fair play to the 2 lads. It's getting a bit annoying seeing both of them on the podium every race, so I had to try and upset them.
Well, it's not too bad for me. The only problem I've got is Farf, really. But yeah, no, great stuff indeed, Fanjo. Well done on the race win here in Spielberg for round 2 of Silver Season 7. Cheers. It's been a pleasure to commentate on, guys. Thanks very much for your support in the comment section as well. And we'll be back, of course, tomorrow night for Bronze here in Spielberg as well, and in the 100% League, which is on Wednesday. It is in Spain as well, so a bit of a preview of Spain there before the 3 divisions, of course, turn up there from next week. So stay tuned to ALR. There's plenty more action coming up, and we'll see you soon.